Hey everybody, it's Mark Pattison back with another great episode of Finding Your Summit, all about people overcoming adversity and finding their way. Today I have another sensational guest. They'll be on in just a minute. But before we get there, draw attention to my website, www.markpattisonnfl.com. I have a lot of stuff going on. Number one is my best-selling book for those who can see this, Finding Your Summit, How to Build Resilience and Faith to Rise Above Life's Challenges. Mike, we have that quite a bit for all of us
Yeah.
that we go through. I've also been out doing a number of different talks. I was doing a TED Talk last week in Dallas. That should be out soon, and excited about other opportunities that I have. Okay, so to set this up, I was recently invited to something called Monday After the Masters. This is a golf tournament, a charity fundraiser back in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, of all places. And it is hosted by a superstar rock group called Hootie and the Blowfish. I've come to know some of the guys in the band. They're super cool. Super glad that I had the opportunity, and which made it even better to the detriment of my guest today is he is a longtime PGA golf professional, Mike Hulbert, who literally I was in his ear for 6 hours and 45 minutes going around the golf course about how I can improve my chipping. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. I'm super glad to finally connect with you. But yeah, it's these are fun for me. So yeah, the people I've met over the years at the several pro-ams or the pro-am at a tour event or this charity event has been world changing actually. So I've met so many cool people, and you're just one of the list. You're one on the list now. One of the coolest people I've met. So here I am.
Well, look at the reason why I was so grateful, anybody who knows anything about golf, it's usually, like if you can get around in 4 hours, that's great. 3 hours is like sensational for me because I like to zip around and go out and hit and play with players like you who are really good. And then you keep going. And this was like double the time, 6 hours and 45 minutes. But like all things, and I want people to hear this, there's always an opportunity in that adversity, right? And the opportunity to me was like, hey, I'm struggling with my short game, my chipping, Mike. And you were so gracious with your time and you were so patient with me. And I really appreciate it because we had to be, you could only move. It was packed. I've been and played in a lot of these things, and this was the first one where there's fans and there's, bars set up and, all that kind of stuff. And, you're used to that because you're playing on. But I just want to give everybody a setup. Like, who is this guy? Okay, so Mike has been on the PGA Tour, professional tour for a long time. He's been on the Champions Tour. Um, you've played in 26 different majors. You've won on the PGA Tour 3 times. You've had multiple, like, been a Masters 4 times. U.S. Open, PGA. I mean, all these. It's just an incredible. It would like I would have gladly traded my NFL career in to have been in your shoes to be able to play in those moments just because my love of golf, it's so addictive to me. Um, but what was that like? Like, let's jump into some of the majors because those are the big shiny things, and then we'll kind of get into your career right now with CBS. But like, what was that like to go into Augusta and drive up the lane there, Magnolia Lane, and to go into the where all the guys dress and all the history. What was that like?
Well, it was super special to me. But let me go back to my first. I'm going to show my age now, but my first tour win was in Memphis at Colonial Country Club. It was the first year for the FedEx St. Jude. And I won on the very last hole. My One of my closest friends that played on the tour I grew up with, his name was Joey Sindelar. He was actually in the clubhouse. We were tied, and I was coming down 18, and he was out standing up behind the green, and he had already won an event. So, anyways, lucky for me, I had holed out several shots during the week with a 9 iron, a wedge, a bunker shot. So, anyways, I had a pretty good yardage on the last hole. I ended up stiffing it and beating him by one. But, anyways, the first thing that came to my mind and back then, when you won a tournament, you were in Augusta. So that was the first thing that entered my mind. Was after I sunk that 12-inch putt, I said I'm going to a Masters, and that's all. As a person that fought hard and got out and slowly climbed and got on tour in 1984 in the fall. To win, you never know. You might not win at any time, but to win 2 years later and then to go to Masters and that's the only place to go. I mean, even though I was growing up in the States, and you might want to say when you're on the putting green as a junior, you say this is for the U.S. Open. No, this is for the Masters.
Yeah.
So that was our thinking. That was my thinking. And believe me, of all the four majors, and I'm not slighting any of the others, and I played in all of them. But the Masters never changed. It was always at the same course, which was very unique. And they have a very strict policy, even way back when no cell phones allowed on property, which is probably the coolest thing ever, right? You see the other majors, and people are, especially over here, U.S. Open, PGA Championship, where they're holding up their phone, or they're Masters. You not gonna you behave yourself. If you get a ticket, you're lucky enough to go there. You better behave yourself, or you're going down Magnolia Lane, and you're going to be out on Washington Road. And I mean, even that goes to. And now I've been working the last 15 years for CBS there, so I've been at Augusta several straight years. So but it's the best place to be.
What a great history. I was able to have Freddie Couples on the show. I think I told you about Freddie's from my hometown of Seattle, and so there's a connection there. And
Right.
and actually, he had me on his show, and I had him on mine, and just to relive. I think it was 1992 when he won the Masters.
Hmm.
And he's got such a silky smooth swing that it's like I just don't know anybody else that. I mean, you've got a nice swing too, but nobody is in his. I mean, of everybody, all the greats, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger, Arnold, all those guys. Um, but going back, like because I know you're friends with all these guys, and the one
Hmm.
major difference with you when you're playing golf versus when you're playing football, for example, is that we have a helmet on and we have all this stuff, yeah, obviously for protection, and you're more or less playing year round and all this stuff, but like, give me like what in terms of a lot of this, what I achieve for is try to like what's our own potential, what's our own, how do you achieve greatness? And everybody's got their own level of what that might be and what their ceiling is. But when you start talking about Arnold Palmer, I mean, these are all guys that you knew and you played against at some point in time. But like between Arnold and Jack and even Tiger, right? Is there any like common ground that those three guys in particular had that rose above to get them to the top of their game and consistently on top all that time?
Well, from a talent standpoint, my hero growing up was Jack Nicklaus. He I just loved the idea that when he needed to make a putt, and he most of the time did make a putt on the 18th hole, he did. And the people, and I put Tiger in that category too. When Jack all of a sudden had a 4, 5, 6 shot lead, or a 1 or 2 shot lead coming down the stretch, everybody knew that he was going to win. And that's kind of how Tiger was. But there one thing about it about Jack and Arnold, and that's back in my era. And I've been up in I'm a member of Bay Hill down here, Arnold's, course that
Yeah.
he owned, and I was in his office all the time. He is such a even though both Jack and Arnold was true professionals. They took their time signing. They had stacks of stuff on their desk every day. They signed and sent out. But the one thing that they were let me think. The reason why they were above everybody else, to me, in my mind, especially Jack, was his course management.
Mm.
He knew how to get around a golf course. But Jack was different. Jack was, even though we had persimmon clubs, steel shafts, a golf ball that was probably pretty squishy or a balata ball, and he could still knock the daylights out of it. Right? He could overpower a golf course even back then and during his prime. And look at the clubs we were using. I mean, we just had a sand wedge. We didn't even know what the loft was on the stupid thing.
Yeah.
But Jack knew how to hit. He was probably better with his one iron, which is obsolete now,
Yeah.
than he was with his sand wedge. Chipping and pitching. There's quotes saying that, and he hit the ball so good. When he did miss a green, he would try to miss it in a spot where he could get his putter on it, and that's even putting through rough. But Jack is always, to this day, he has his tournament at Memorial, and I played in it a number of times during the year, had pretty good success there. But Jack rolls out the red carpet for you, and he still does today for me working at CBS. I mean, he still treats me the same, and he's an amazing person. Tiger's, I'm jumping ship here, but Tiger is he was probably the most talented, right? You got to, if he was amazing, even from his junior year, when you win every U.S. Junior, every U.S. Am, he's won the U.S. Open. The only thing he has left is the U.S. Senior Open. Let's see,
Mm.
who knows if when he does come back, if he comes back, I'd like to see him play and try to win that. But
Do you think Tiger will want to go on to the senior tour?
That's a good question. I think he'll gravitate towards that, especially when he figures out that he can't. I'm not going to say he's going to embarrass himself if he does get healthy and come back, because he can still hit the shots. But if he feels like he can't compete, no matter if it's the Masters in a year or two or any of the other some of the other events, I think he will play the Champions Tour.
Yeah, and
I,
you,
I
yeah, you know this better than anybody. When you're talking about playing golf, there's no substitute to practicing and playing than
right,
playing. I mean,
right.
and especially the way you guys, well, the way they still have it today. And again, any non-golfer, I'm just telling you right now, and for a guy that is in super shape, I've climbed Everest and done all these other things. Uh, walking a 18-hole course, going up and down, especially as you were telling me how hilly a place like Augusta is where they play the Masters, 4 days of that, assuming you make the cut, is a grind. Physically, it just wears you down.
Yeah, and that's one of the top two, three, or maybe three walks that we have. Tough walks. And to have the surgeries that Tiger's had, I don't know how he did it. Back at when he was at Torrey Pines when he
Yeah.
beat Rocco Mediate,
Yeah.
he had a broken flipping leg, and he was making it around. He'd go down to his knees, but so one part of me, that's gonna be tough. Now, if he does go to the Champions Tour, yeah, he can ride a cart, right? You don't have to ride it every day, but I mean, if he gets a little tired after round one or something like that, you can jump in a cart. It's just one of those you and your caddy can't ride together, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
and it's only 3 rounds too, so I hope for his sake, but who knows? If he just stops right now, and I'm not going to say he's out there trying to prove people wrong or because he's already, he's done as much as you possibly can. And going back, those three people you just mentioned, they were the elite needle movers for TV.
Yeah.
They were those three right there. And I had the good fortune of playing with Mr. Palmer. We never called him Arnold, but Mr. Palmer at the 90. to PGA Championship at Belle Reve,
Oh,
wherever Nick Price won. So my first two rounds, my grouping was myself, Arnold Palmer, and Ernie Els. And Ernie
mm,
Els was a rookie.
yeah.
And so I got it. That's when I got to really know Arnold. He's helped me out so much through the past that, he's such a good person. The first word out of Mr. Palmer's mouth whenever he saw me at the club was, "Do you need anything?" That's what he said. Oh, 100% every time. "Do you need anything? Everything okay?" I mean, finally, I kind of asked for a few favors, not being a
Uh,
knucklehead, but
uh,
yeah, but those three guys. They were needle movers. They're true professionals. Um,
Let me ask you this. So where you are at today, so you've been for the last 15 plus years is at
mhm,
CBS. And at CBS, you're the rules guy. So you're in the studio, you're on the course, you're in a booth somewhere. And
yeah.
when there's a ball that's lodged against a tree or something, and they don't know exactly how they're going to play that and the questions, they zoom into you. So for people don't who are like understanding what I'm talking about, it's no different than when there's a controversial call on the field of a football game, an NFL game, and they go to replay. And as they're going to replay, they'll bring in, XYZ person from the booth and he's, dressed up and he's looking and he explains, kind of how they're gonna interpret that, not making the rule one way or the other, but in more likely than less likely that's going to happen. So you're out there. I'm trying to set this up in that because you're part of CBS and CBS covers the Masters, that
Hmm.
you are out watching these guys day in day out for all these different years. When you stack Rory, right,
Hmm.
McIlroy against Tiger, okay,
Hmm.
um, uh, how would you stack their talent? Because they're both two kind of whiz kids. Obviously if you stack up the majors with Tiger versus Rory, obviously Tiger's got a lot more, but just if you take that out of it for just a minute, right? And just like pure talent, how do those guys compare, side by side?
Well, they're similar, but the golf courses have changed some. Um, but I would say that Rory is a better driver of the golf ball than Tiger was. But Tiger was smart enough to hit three wood a lot. But and by far, Tiger, back in his day, Tiger had the most elite short game of anybody. And he
Yeah.
did it simple. He didn't try to hit the flashy Phil Mickelson flop shots all the time. He was, but once again, he didn't leave himself those situations very often. If he was going to miss a shot or put a shot close to a par five, he would have a stock pitch shot or chip shot short of the green, right? Or a bunker that he could get up and down. And that's why he was so good. And he was just, to me, he was better with his fundamentals. Tiger was. I mean, as much as he was on camera, or on TV, and we had them all the time, no matter if it was a putt or a 7 iron, a drive. The guy was always lined up perfect, right? I mean, all the people listening, if there's any listening, which I'm sure they are, he lined up perfectly all the time. Now, I'm not saying Rory didn't, but he's got some flaws.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing was their short game. I mean, Tiger's game when he was elite, was his short game was elite, hands
Yeah.
down. I
Well,
mean,
you're
you
talking
wanted,
you're talking the elite of the elite because all yeah, I mean
yeah,
yourself included, all you guys. The main difference of all you guys. I mean, yeah, you can hit the ball a long way down, but it's just that short game and your ability to get out of trouble when
that's
trouble
right.
strikes.
Yep. And Tiger was the best at that. I don't recall Tiger um actually missing a putt that meant, no matter if it was to get in a playoff, like remember that one with it looked like he was down and out against what was his name at the PGA at Valhalla when gosh, I can see the guy. Anyways, the guy made a 20 footer and Tiger had a 4 or 5 footer to take it to a playoff. I've never saw any chinks in the armor there. He always, when he needed to make a putt, he made it. I just don't. There was one puzzling thing about Tiger's game, and because I was involved with three Ryder Cups, being an assistant, I never quite understood this. But Tiger Woods, let's face it, he was the number one player for a couple centuries, it seemed like. And he was on all those Ryder Cup teams that I was involved, which was only three. But I never understood why he didn't like put everybody on his back and go, you know? And if you look at his record, it wasn't it wasn't like tremendous in singles. It was good, but then the four ball and the alternate shot, God, it was stinko, right? It was
Yeah.
stinko, and I always scratch my head and I'm thinking, good grief! I said this guy can go out and beat those two guys by himself, but I never understood that. And
Yeah.
you know, maybe one day he'll tell me.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's who knows if there's distraction or what. I want to get back to the Ryder Cup here in just a second, and I want to ask you, and this I'm asking you like a rules guy, even though what I'm about
Huh?
to ask you, you're the rules guy of the actual game,
Uh
where the
huh.
ball lands and what the rule, the legally you can, pick up the ball or you can move it or whatever. But slightly different subject, but in terms of the live guys. So you've got this implosion going on right now
Hmm.
with the funding, and you've got Bryson and you've got John Ram who just placed, I think, second in last week's tournament.
Correct.
Things like that, right? So how do you think that's going to play out in terms of trying to get those personalities back? Because I mean, especially Bryson, gigantic draw.
Yeah. I think, and you can just tell by the PGA this week. You know, I think I'll tell you who helped out them, and that's Brooks coming back. He took he didn't get out of his contract. His contract was up, but he still owed them X, and he took a severe penalty over here for coming back to the tour. And I really think that and they offered it to what three other guys. I think Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, and maybe Bryson, And so they turned it down. But as you saw, Cam Smith showed up last week at the PGA.
Great player.
Um, John Rahm showed up at the PGA. I think it gives them a little bit of an opportunity, regardless of how their bank account looks, which is like monopoly money, right? But I think there's going to be an opportunity there for some of the guys. Now, are they going to be severely penalized? And of course, Patrick Reed's already coming back this fall, so
Mhm.
he's already said that. Um, you know, yeah, I'd like to see those guys come back. And yes, um, I think it really helped what Brooks did. Well, one thing Brooks did when he went over there, when he first signed up for him, he kept his mouth shut for the 3 years, right? He
Yeah.
just, and when he did come back and play the Masters and the PGA Championship, where all the other guys wore their logos and their clothing from Live Golf, he never did. He always wore his Nike stuff. So yeah, there's a little, and I know Brooks really well, but and I think he's actually playing really well today over at Byron Nelson. But anyways, it's going to be interesting to see after this coming fall and see where that's going to go.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
they had their
he seems like a good guy, and from the standpoint of I think it's relative because even though it's like you said, very punitive, I think the number might have been 5 million for Brooks to come back. Like it's a big,
right,
gigantic number. But he also probably was making on the other side of that 50. So his net is like, all right, so it's only 45. What the hell, right? So I'm already making money in sponsors. I'll make it up in, for
correct.
6 months. So
And yeah, he didn't even balk either when they
yeah,
said 5 million to charity, and he said, okay, great.
yeah.
Not great. He says, okay, what else? So he's been good about it. So
Yeah. So let's go to the Ryder Cup. Just such a fun, crazy, outrageous thing. You've been involved in, I believe, two Ryder Cups that have been out there. From your standpoint, are the fans are they better or worse in Europe or America? And is it getting out of hand in terms of, abusing some of these players and just like, I mean, like from an NFL standpoint, like this is just you go into Cleveland or someplace like this, no big deal, right? With whatever, that's just par for the course. But golf has always had this somewhat etiquette to it, and all of a sudden like it just seems like, and both sides are guilty of just pretty rowdy fans saying some really inappropriate things.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the percentages a little bit higher on our end. The fans over there were the fans, and I was in. Let's see, twice over there, once over here at Medina. I was with Davis, but my first experience was with Curtis Strange at the Belfry in 2001, which we went over in '02 because of 9/11. But it was. I'm going to point this out too. So Curtis was the captain, and I was the only assistant. And now, if you look at yes, has it gotten bigger? A little bit, right? It has, but it still meant the world to everybody. But, um, with all the analytics and stuff, and we were actually tied after 2 days going into singles. And normally we dominate singles, and we didn't, we laid an egg, right? And we lost on the 18th hole. That was when, what's his name? The former coach Paul McGinley was jumping around on the green after making a 10-footer. But anyways, I had a ball. But to get to your point, I think we've gone a little bit over to the top here, or off the rails a little bit as far as um, I don't know. Maybe over here people feel like they have a ticket, yes, but they have a talking ticket.
Hmm.
And over there, they don't have really a talking ticket. They're just there to obviously pull hard for their country, and for their players, but they don't get out of hand over there. I've never run into anybody over there very poorly, but here lately, it's probably because there's frustration because we've been getting our butts handed to us the
Yeah.
last 30 years. So hopefully that can change. It'll be, but if you're, and to the point now where you saw it where Rory was getting kind of semi heckled there coming down the stretch at the
Yeah.
PGA. Now that's out of line, right? Up at Bethpage, that was totally out of line. The stuff that went on during that week. Um, we just gotta, we just gotta behave a little bit better. But I think it's, yes, the media, yes, the whole tour, and that we've made this into a bigger than we've certainly we're almost at the top of the summit up there with this thing, and it's really just going down in 12 guys against 12 guys and try to enjoy the competition, and but I think a lot has to do with because we've been getting our butts cleaned.
Yeah, probably, probably. Do you think that a guy like John Daly, who I can say this, you probably can't, but I can, um, has turned such a mockery of his talent and the way he presents himself? It's like a clown show. Um, if he had treated his game with more respect, or the game with more respect, how good a player do you think he could be? Because he just seemed like he had so much natural talent.
Yeah, and he did. He did. Yeah. Do we all agree with the path he took after, he had that success? No. Um, and even to this day, right? And even, him, he's a good guy. He's actually fun to play with, actually. I haven't played with him in a long time, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, it gets to be a little bit over the top there, and what I don't, and who knows with his injuries, and he was one of the first ones. I remember him playing in PGA championships because he could ride a cart. He was the only one riding a cart. I remember it actually at Bethpage when Brooks won. I remember going around the golf course just checking it out like I'm supposed to, being their rules guy, and there he was playing a practice round. I mean, he's as nice as can be on the course and off. He really is. He doesn't get, but he has done some flipping crazy stuff. I
Yeah.
will say that. And no, to the point where I remember Freddie used to have that big pro am up there, along with Peter Jacobson, right?
Yeah.
And they might have had separate ones, and of course John Daly draws people, but I mean cold turkey. I remember John, somebody laying down on the ground, and we were kind of in a little amphitheater. This was somewhere up in the Seattle area, and all of a sudden, we're kind of introducing different people, and next thing you know, he puts a tee in somebody's mouth and he hits this driver like over top of the people. We're all kind of cringing, going, "Oh God." It's like, and this is like without making a practice swing or anything.
Yeah.
And of course he's 100% on this. So we're gonna run with that, and hopefully he doesn't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can only imagine. I'm hoping a couple things for me. One, selfishly, that I get invited back to the Monday after the Masters. A. B is we get stuck in the same card for 6 hours and 45 minutes, and next year we can work on my driver or something.
Yeah, any time. And I mean, and like I told you, just if you're still struggling in any area, just shoot me a video. I mean, I'll clean you up. I'll get you pointed somewhere. But more importantly, you can. I'm down here during the summer, so I'm not working too much the next few weeks. I've got to take care of a few things, but I know it's hotter than blue blazes down here in Orlando. But anytime, maybe even in the winter or this fall,
Yeah.
come on down and we'll play some golf. I mean,
I love
I
it.
am a member of Bay Hill, but I'm and or you can come visit me at one of the any of the CBS events too. So um, I'd love to show you. My job in is as far as the rules guys go. I'm in the production. I'm in the truck.
Yeah.
I have a helper to my right. I have all the screens in the world. I've got like at the Masters and PGA. I have all 1 through 18 tee boxes. I got 1 through 18 greens. I have all the cameras, everything with a push of a button, and it comes up on a screen. But am I an I spy? No. The rules have simplified. What, 7 years now? 6 7 years, and so we don't receive any calls. The guys on the ground do a great job. So my job's pretty easy right now, and for the
Yeah.
most part, I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate that one crazy where Eric Higo got penalized, right, for
Yeah.
showing up
Yeah.
late.
Saw that. Yeah.
I mean, that was nuts. The thing that was always alarming to me was why was his caddy standing on the tee? While I heard he was yelling for him, but good grief, I would have dropped the bag, with 3 or 4 minutes to go, and I would have ran and dragged his butt over there.
Well,
But
and as a result, I think he got fired.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he got fired like yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, whatever reason, maybe it was both people's fault, but that was an odd one, that's for sure. And then to miss the cut by that two-stroke penalty that maybe stung a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It is what it is. But
yeah,
hey, listen, kind of like Arnold Palmer, said to you, you're kind of
hmm
saying to me, what can I help you with? And I appreciate you saying that. And certainly will take you up on that because my love of golf and your love of golf and that bonds us together. And so, coming on the pod, I totally appreciate it. And you're just a bright light out there, and I appreciate you being that way.
well, thank you, Mark. And your light was already on bright, 120 watts when I first met you. So, we did have 6 hours and 45 minutes, but that's what I do. That's what I like to do is help other people. I mean, I've been there, done that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the one good thing is I still know what I'm doing with my short game. So that's okay. And we can fix people. So, but I enjoyed those 645, and let's not make it much. Let's not make it a year from now where we can not talk, but join up and play some golf. That's for
I
sure.
I love it. Count 'em in. All right, everybody. There he is, the one, the only Mike Hulbert. Thank you.